All right, good morning, good morning. How we doing, everybody? Oh, of course, I came
Sorry.
in just in time for your damn backup alarm. Good morning, folks. Okay. And, well, we did have a shitload of people watching on Periscope, but apparently they got tired of waiting for the trailer, the intro to run down because it's back down to one. So, but you there on Periscope. Periscope was supposed to no longer exist as of the beginning of March, but apparently people are still watching, so we'll hang out on Periscope as long as Periscope hangs around for us. But I recommend you pop over to YouTube or Facebook and, oh dear God, you're crunching in my microphone, Cameron. Pop over to Facebook or YouTube, give us a like and a follow. And guys, we're live. This is a live stream. So go ahead and share it right now. Share it on Facebook. Share it from YouTube. Share it from Facebook. Wherever you're watching. Go ahead and share and get the numbers up. Because we're live right now for the next half an hour. Or until I'm tired of talking to you. Whichever comes first. So, how you doing this morning, Cameroon?
I'm pretty darn good.
And what are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about a subject, but we're also not talking about a subject because framing and journalistic ethics and just being very careful that you don't jump to conclusions is important. Now, obviously, CNN has no problem violating all of those standards, but it is what it is. So we're going to briefly touch on the awful shooting that happened in Colorado yesterday.
Yeah, and as far as CNN, God, they just ran with a fake clip made up of just essentially stock footage from from the border, from the Rio Grande, about immigrants, and they're getting lambasted over that because by a bunch of lefty journalists who are saying, "Hey, we've covered the people crossing the border, and this is not what that looks like." So, I mean, anything you get from CNN, you can take with a grain of salt, because let's not forget, CNN still employs Don Lemon, and Don Lemon is the guy that was convinced that the Malaysia flight was eaten by a microscopic black hole. So, and of course, he's got all the right victim cards, so he's apparently immune to sexual assault allegations. That's just a thing over there.
I don't know that he actually believed it, but it was something that was discussed. So, I mean, it is what it is. But to be fair,
Alinsky's rules say that we must hold them to their own standards.
Oh, well, okay. I mean, I get it. He is both bitter and, let's say, lacking in intelligence. Because I generally assume that to make it in that kind of an industry, you have to have, at a minimum, average IQ. That's just, I know, once you start doing anything like that, there's so many moving parts. And to put together a show like Don Lemon's literally takes dozens of people. You'd be shocked at how many people have to be on site for Don Lemon's subpar show to go out. But
I wouldn't, because I can tell you how many people I'd hire to make this show work better.
Well, I say, Chris, buddy, when I say you, I don't always mean you. I mean it in the
No, I understand your use of the global pronoun. My point is, I would not be shocked by the number of people on that set, because I could think of at least 20 things I'd like to pass off to paid interns every single morning.
No kidding. All that money, that gorgeous studio, and you've got a guy that should be wearing a dunce cap. I think the thing that really encapsulates it is, remember there was the joke about Donald Trump as Thanos, the meme, like performing the snap, and like all the liberal enemies just blinked out of existence. And
God, wouldn't that be wonderful?
yeah. And then And then Don Lemon is on a show, and he's really, is this what we've come to? He's basically, preaching at us. It's like
Right.
how your dad talks to you when you're 15 years old and he catches you sneaking cigarettes. Really, son? What's wrong with you? What are you thinking? But I sincerely believe he might not be that smart.
Well, he doesn't have to be. He doesn't even have to sit there and talk. He just has to regurgitate a teleprompter. It's not like this show where every word that comes out of my mouth, unless I actually show you an article and tell you I'm reading this article to you so that we can analyze it, is being generated in my skull and produced with my admittedly painful and beautiful, expensive teeth. Hey, James, so let me say good morning to some people, and then, we're already 10 minutes in, and let's talk about the thing we're talking about.
We'll actually get into it. Yep.
So we got a pretty good crowd in here. Got 3 back on Periscope. Periscopers, go to YouTube, go to Facebook, ditch that shit. Garbage Periscope is going away. Don't miss this show. Every weekday morning at 07:30, we are here to talk to you. I've got Rod in the audience and Steve. Good morning. Dave Bowen has joined us. Good morning, Dave. Krista is with us. Good morning, sunshine. Ma, good morning, Ma. She says coffee is brewing and the cat is fed. Hell yes. Lindsay Adams is with us. Good morning, sunshine. Tell Isaac I said hello. James Royster has joined us, and that's everybody that's actually commented so far. So, love you guys. Thanks for watching. Okay, so, like Cameron said, we're not going to dig deep into the shooting itself. We're going to talk about some of the issues surrounding the shooting, but I will share the Fox News article just real quick. Boulder grocery massacre leaves 10 dead, including cop suspect in custody. So that's all I want to talk about it. That's all I want to share about this, because that's all we really know so far. Suspect in custody. Boulder grocery massacre leaves 10 dead, including a police officer. So that means 9 dead and a cop, not 10 dead plus a cop. Really a distinction of minutiae. It's not as yeah. So, hey, and Sergeant Major's watching. Ma's watching on Facebook and Sergeant Major's watching on YouTube. I like that split, guys. It's good for my numbers. Appreciate it. Love you. So we've got a mass shooting, because of course we do. Now, I'm not going to say that mass shootings did not happen while Donald Trump was in office. Sandy Hook after Trump was inaugurated?
I think so.
No,
and then of course,
Sandy Hook was not. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas was, and
there we go. That's the one.
And Pulse nightclub was, right? Those two.
Right. And then there was the smaller scale ones, the psychopath that shot up the Walmart and whatnot. Right.
And in each one of those cases, of course it was, this is all because Donald Trump's hateful, and by the way, take everybody's guns away and blah, blah, blah. Really, it's because Donald Trump's hateful, and he inspired these people to hate Mexicans. And then we got manifestos out of some of these guys, and they were very clearly against Donald Trump. Like, one of them was a white supremacist that hated Donald Trump because he wasn't sufficiently white supremacist, and the other one was an active, what's-her-face, Pocahontas supporter. And said in his manifesto that he was trying to draw attention to problems that only President Elizabeth Warren would be able to solve. Which is just mind-blowing. But you're gonna see more stuff in the news, not unlike the Asian hate crime epidemic that's being reported on. The fact is, there is a massive amount of active hate crime being committed against Asians in this country. But this whole thing with the massage parlor killings, it looks like it's pretty clear that that was not a racially motivated attack. That was motivated by, and this is speculation based on basically anecdote, because you have the shooter saying, "Well, I'm a sex addict, and that's what motivated me to kill these prostitutes." I don't think anybody's actually said they were prostitutes, but
they were prostitutes.
Come on, guys. This was some red light district shit. This was some straight 88 some straight pal goo, 88 district. You know, Sergeant Major, you know what I mean. Pal goo, yeah, baby. Not the one you want. But of course that one's getting national media attention because it's a white guy that shot some people. But the interesting thing about the Asian hate crimes epidemic that we see is with almost the sole exception of this shooting at the massage parlors, which appears to be unrelated to the others, it has been black on Asian crime. I forget which city it is, but there's one of the major cities in California right now. 85% of all violent crime is black youth on older Asians, and they're playing the knockout game. They're running up on people and shoving them head first into hard objects. And several of these older Asian citizens have U.S. citizens, in most of these cases, have basically died from the head injuries sustained by being shoved into garage doors and phone poles and sidewalks. But we have a gun-grabbing president in the office, so it's time for the false flags. Now, when I say false flag in this context, understand I am not claiming that the Boulder shooting did not occur.
Obviously.
Right? I have never doubted the reality of the occurrence of individual shootings. What I have been suspect of on many occasions is the motivation, the reporting, and the framing of the shootings. Now, of course, they're going to talk about, oh, he used an AR-15 style rifle because we need to get rid of all those evil assault rifles. And when you see anti-assault rifle legislation come out of the Democrats, what they determine is an assault rifle. I mean, you look at Democrat policy over the years. You know, their stands on civil rights in the 60s, their positions on segregation before that, their positions on gun control. Democrats are just against things that are black. It's not their bag, baby. It's just not their bag. Democrats hate things that are black. So we're already seeing a bunch of noise on Twitter. I think we just lost Cameron for a minute, but he'll pop back in. So I went ahead and pulled up Twitter. The term well-regulated militia is trending on Twitter. And it shows the way these people are talking about. Have I got you back, Cameron? Cameron?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. You're kind of cutting in and out a little bit. Can you hear me well enough to understand where we are right now? How many fingers am I holding up? Who's the president? What year is it? All right.
I must have missed something. What's up?
Yeah, I'm going to hang up on you and call you right back. Thanks to the new setup, I could do that. Couldn't do this before. Would have ruined everything, but I'm going to try to get Cameron back on the line. There we go. The familiar ring of the free caller Skype. And now I've got you back.
Hey, buddy, just keep... Yeah, hey, buddy, just...
Yep, lost him. Maybe he'll call back when he gets into a better position, and I'll just continue the show without him. Okay, so pop back over here. Yeah, thank heavens for the emergency backup, Cameron. And even then, it's getting weird.
Just keep going. I'll jump in when I feel like I've got good signal.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you much better now. So you're back with us. So we're gonna dig into Twitter. Because, okay, the first thing I want to say about Twitter. Steve says, "Watch us get a copyright for that ringtone." Right. So the first thing to understand about Twitter. Twitter is a useful tool for analytics because you can see what the world and the country is interested in discussing currently.
Yes and no. Twitter's more of a...
Yeah, you still don't have a good enough signal to talk.
And
Okay. Yeah.
since like only what is it, like 12% of used Twitter?
Okay, Cameron, I'm just gonna hang up on you, brother. It's too much. You're breaking up too much. We'll get Cameron back another time. Sounds like he's driving in the sticks and not getting a good signal. So, all right. So the first thing to understand about Twitter, it can be a useful tool to see what people are searching on the internet, what people are talking about on the internet, especially if you produce a show like this where, frankly, you want to target the conversations that people are interested in. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about that people just don't care about, and so there are some people that I have those conversations with, and they don't make it on the air because nobody wants to hear it. Of course, some of you guys will be more interested in some of that. We'll get to that later. But Twitter also affects how polling companies understand public opinion. And the problem with that is only about 12% of the population is using Twitter, right? And of that 12%, the vast majority, more than 50% of that 12%, are not just leftists. They're far left leftists, right? They're the kind of people who believe that the most middle of the road, milquetoast, fence sitting conservatism, just basic conservatism, like believing the Constitution guarantees you the right to free speech, or that babies are alive, that babies exist, that human rights belong to anybody. A good half of the people that are on Twitter fall into that category of leftists who think that anybody to the right of Mao is a far-right extremist. They like to use the N-word, and I'm not talking about the one for the POCs. So, that said, when we pop over to Twitter, we see, it looks like Skype's still connected. Just get rid of that. Anyway, when we pop over to Twitter, we see these conversations happening where they're talking about the well-regulated militia, really thinking about that well-regulated militia. Here, let me zoom in on this a little bit so you can read it better. Read along with me. Jake Loban, really thinking about that well-regulated militia part of the Second Amendment right now. I smoked a mayonnaise incel loser mass shooter says, according to the founding fathers, a well-regulated militia should have access to muskets. Yeah, and if that's how you understand the Constitution, your free speech is limited to handwritten letters and word of mouth. Shut up, you idiot. So, Republicans are threatening to cancel the Second Amendment after reading it for the first time and discovering it includes the words well-regulated militia. This comes from the Halfway Post. So, and this Paige McDonald, NRA, is this your well-regulated militia? disturbed solo white male mass shooters. We need background checks now. Okay. You people are adorable. Yes, the language well-regulated militia does appear in the preparatory clause of the Constitution. If I say, because I was out of orange juice, comma, I decided to drive to the store. That's a sentence. That's a sentence with information in it. If I get rid of the preparatory clause where I needed orange juice and I simply say I decided to drive to the store, the meaning of the sentence has not changed. Not one iota. The statement of the sentence now lacks the context of the orange juice requirement, but the content of the sentence is still, I decided to drive to the store. It has not changed. With no other argument in place, the language of the well-regulated militia is irrelevant to the right of the people not being infringed from the keeping and bearing of arms. If you are in a place, any place within the borders of the United States of America, and you are disallowed from openly carrying a firearm of any sort on your person in full display, then you are in a rogue state that is an active violation of the laws of the United States of America and her Constitution. That is not my opinion. That is an immutable fact. The Heller decision, which largely reaffirmed the right of the people to keep and bear arms, says that there are reasonable restrictions that can be placed by the government on which arms may be owned and carried. Scalia was wrong. There are no reasonable restrictions that can be placed on the firearms that you own, according to the Constitution. So even the Heller decision, which is a hot target for the enemy left, even that is way too far left to be tolerated. So what we're going to see out of all this, let me kind of take this around to where I want to be. What we're going to see out of this shooting, we've seen it 1,000 times. We know what's going to happen. Oh, we need gun control now. Gun control now. Hell yeah, I'm coming for your AR-15s. Shit right up your nose, Beto. Biden. These people. They want to hurt you. Biden is hiding in the White House with fences and National Guard to defend it under the pretense that there's some imminent threat, which there clearly is not. We've had 3 occurrences now where the news media has gone out and said there's going to be a major attack by white supremacists. And then it has not occurred. We've seen the narrative of the January 6th protests completely crumble, having learned now that not only did the officer not die from a head injury sustained by being attacked by a white supremacist with a fire extinguisher, it turns out that not only did he not die from the injury sustained in that attack, it did not happen. And that's not some wild internet conspiracy theory. That's just the facts. We have the autopsy report. We have the investigation out, right? And before the mainstream media outlets reported that this cop was murdered at the White House or at the Capitol building by white supremacists who beat him to death with a fire extinguisher, all of the information contrary to that was already available when the mainstream media started reporting that was the case. And the fact of the matter is that not only did he not die from those injuries, it didn't happen. They're telling you lies. DC has been fortified in the way that it has because Biden and his ilk mean to do things that should incite people. They want to hurt you. They don't want you free or wealthy or healthy or happy or prosperous. They barely want you alive. Now, this is a little darker than I like to get. And my folks are saying, mass shootings never happen when people are openly carrying weapons. 100% correct. Maul points out one armed citizen would have stopped the Colorado shooter and he would be dead and some of the 10 deceased would be alive. Yes. 100%. Yes. No. 99%, because one armed citizen in that crowd would mean that it was not a probably sufficient soft target for an active shooter event to occur. You don't hear about active shooters going into gun ranges, pawn shops, right? Steve says they only want you alive if you're generating taxable income, hence eugenics and abortion. I'm going to rebut that, Steve. Taxable income is one thing. I honestly don't think the Democrats are all that interested in the amount of revenue generated through taxable income. They're more interested in a dependent base. Never underestimate the willingness of the enemy to just print money so that they continue to buy votes. The value of the dollar isn't especially of concern to people who have power sufficient to simply print as many dollars as they wish to have, or to convert an unlimited number of dollars into whatever measure of any other currency they wish to employ for any kind of market manipulation that they'd like to be engaged in. So they really just want you alive so that you can vote, so that we can continue to pretend like we live in a democratic voting process. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole to go down. And yeah, and the whole thing, guys, we're going to see problems. We're going to see some big problems once the inflation is going to catch up with us, and it's going to be devastating. If you got you one of them STEMI checks, I'm not here to give you financial advice, but I might go so far as to say it's probably not worth trying to save that money, because it's just not going to be useful in a couple of years. So maybe think about other things you can do with that money that will shore up your survivability in the future. Maybe stockpile some emergency food and water. Maybe buy an emergency backup generator. Maybe make sure the cars are all running good. Yeah. Maybe think about the things that aren't depleted. Yep. Beans, bullets, and Band-Aids, baby. Hallelujah, Steve. All right. I think that's going to be me for today. Because I'm starting to trail off of the original topic. So thanks for watching this morning. Pretty good turnout this morning. Really appreciate that. Waller turned up. Good to see you this morning, Waller. I hope you're doing good out there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you need a laugh, go check out DJ Scotty and Holly and DJ Scotty over at Just for Fun Radio. I will offer fair warning. NSFW. They get rough, but they're funny. Good show. And for those of you that watched the live stream Saturday from the wrestling rink, the next wrestling event with Southern Fried Championship Wrestling is April 3rd. And I fully intend to have the Brushfire Mind there with Just for Fun Radio again. I'm not sure what our format's going to be this time around. I'm talking to some people. We might only be streaming to one place, like the Southern Fried Championship. I have a hard time not saying chicken in the middle of that. But we might be streaming only to the SFCW Facebook page or something like that, instead of trying to go broadcast everywhere else. But yeah, I appreciate y'all watching, and I will see you tomorrow morning.